that your rumor? All right, hello and welcome. We're joined today by Fox NBA analyst Jim Jackson and Chris Broussard. Let's start in Houston, where the Warriors reminded everyone they're still the champs last night, stealing home court from the Rockets in Game 1 of the Western Conference Finals. Houston got a big night out of James Harden, but it wasn't enough against the Warriors' multifaceted attack, especially after Kevin Durant turned it on. KD finished with 37 points, and after the game, Steve Kerr had high praise for his superstar.
Kevin is the ultimate luxury because a play can break down and you just throw him the ball, and he can get you a bucket as well as anybody on earth. So, Kevin, you know, this is why this is why anybody would want him on their team. But you think about a couple of years ago, and we're in the finals, and we couldn't quite get over the hump. You know, Kevin's the guy who puts you over the hump, and I don't know what you do to guard him. He can get any shot he wants.
Is it discouraging to you to see James score 41 points and you still lose by double digits?
No, I'm going to just go talk to him. He needs to get about 55 next time. So, and that would take care of it. I'll just have to tell him that.
All right, no doubt KD was great, but Houston didn't take my advice and played iso ball all night. Cowherd, what was the bigger reason for the Warriors' win? Kevin Durant or the Rockets iso ball?
The Rockets iso ball. This is why I picked Golden State in 5. The Rockets are like preparing for a spelling bee. Teacher gives you 50 words on Friday. She gives you 50 words on Friday. You got to memorize a few. Then you come out Monday and take the test. Houston, they do some iso ball. Figure that out, you beat the Rockets. Warriors are an SAT. You got to do math. You got to do reading. You got to do writing. Got to have an essay. Layers. Last night, Steph wasn't good. Rockets got off to a great start. CP and Harden were both great. And it wasn't close. This is what makes a dynasty. Golden State's best shooter can have an off night on the road, fall into a 10-point hole early, and they're cruising by the end of the third.
It was the culture clash I kind of expected. One team playing a very iso ball style, 4 guys standing around, and the Warriors in constant motion. Having said all that, and I do think the Rockets played the wrong way and they overdosed on the iso ball. Having said that, though, watching this 7-foot Kevin Durant be a problem that has no solution. The only thing they could have done is stacked P.J. Tucker and Eric Gordon on top of each other. That's the only double team that worked. The guy's 7 foot, and he can hit every shot on the court. From half court, once he crossed the half court line, every shot's makeable. And when you're 7 foot tall and they got midgets guarding you, they just didn't have, there was no solution.
Here's the thing. If it wasn't KD, it would have been somebody else. Steph would have had the big game, or Clay would have had even more points. I'm not taking anything away from KD. He was great. But I'm with Colin. It was more the clash of cultures. And you said they should take your advice and change. They can't change. That was a nice, cute, and funny quote by Mike D'Antoni, but that might be what he does. Go score 55. I mean, they're not going to adjust. Look, and it wasn't just ISO versus team basketball. It was also the philosophy that stems from Daryl Morey, the GM in Houston, all the way down.
Yes.
Three-pointer or at the rim versus a variety of ways to score. Durant isn't shooting a lot of threes. He took 6, but he was killing you with the mid-range. During the season, the Warriors shot 20 mid-range shots per game. The Rockets shot less than 7.
And how many of that was Chris Paul?
Exactly. If it wasn't for Chris Paul, it'd be about 2 per game.
Right.
And that's real talk. So that's it, too. That makes you harder to guard when you might take a 3, you might go mid-range, you might go backdoor, you might go at the rim versus a 3-pointer or a dunk by Houston.
I'm going to say both because, one, you don't have an answer for Kevin Durant. And the beauty of what Golden State does, they spread you out. So Kevin Durant has space to work in. I'm not like a lot of other superstars who are always seeing a body, a front of the jersey when they're trying to drive. With Golden State, because they move the basketball, they move bodies, it opens up lanes. And when you're 7 foot, you can jump over the top. Now, keep in mind, this is a different D'Antoni offense. The one I played in Phoenix, totally different. We shot a lot of three-point shots, but it came off of passes. Steve Nash, he dribbled with purpose.
Yeah.
He had the ball with purpose. The pick and roll with Amari at the free throw line, it was tough to guard. As soon as the ball touched somebody didn't have a shot, it moved. with this team, keep in mind, you contrast the two teams. Houston's 3 best players, okay? Eric Gordon, you talk about Chris Paul, James Harden, ISO players.
Yep.
3 best players for Golden State. Durant, Steph, Clay. Shoot off the dribble, shoot off pick and roll, they cut you back door. You can't guard
Is that because I've been wondering, this is the beautiful D'Antoni whose offense in Phoenix was beautiful.
Totally, yeah, but it's totally different.
But is that because Harden is a scorer? Because Steve Nash, like you said, he dominated the ball dribbling, but he was passing. Is it because Harden's looking to score, not just pass?
Wait, I think he makes an interesting point. What Jim is saying is what I said to start my radio show today. I watch Harden, I see a little Westbrook with a beard. I mean, seriously, guys. Now, now Harden's a better shooter, and I like Harden better. But I'm watching Houston last night, and I'm like, okay, this is a little Golden State where Paul George and Chris Paul. By the way, how's Eric Gordon played in the playoffs? He's become a spectator. How's Trevor Ariza played in the playoffs? They become spectators.
I think to some degree, and I agree with everybody's points, but are we overlooking the fact that Kevin Durant was a problem for them on the offensive end, but he was also a problem for them on the defensive end? And when you compare him and the way he played defense to someone put together a nice collage of how many times James Harden was lost completely on defense, a non-participant, and then the impact it had on the rest of the defensive players on the Houston Rockets. And again, that's why I say Kevin Durant on both ends of the court is a problem for these guys that I just question at some point. Is there any solution?
Here's the thing. Go back to your SAT. You got a little bit more to download to get prepared for, okay?
Yes.
Okay? Houston's offense was so simple. Yeah. We're going to pick and roll. And then whoever Steph guard, we're going to guard. So now as a defensive team, all I got to do is sink in a little bit more.
Yes.
If you want to get your 50, bro, go ahead. You got it. Everybody else is not beating me. In the 2 games that Houston won, Eric Gordon had 30 and 31, okay? You had Green had 29. Guys participated. You didn't see that last night. You didn't see that at all. So
almost like Golden State wanted Harden to score forward.
Exactly.
It was like
Go for it.
So to the East, where the Cavs are looking to bounce back tonight against Boston after that really ugly, embarrassing Game 1 loss Sunday. LeBron struggled in that game, but one of his teammates, Tristan Thompson, is expecting a, quote, legendary performance from Bron tonight. Whitlock, we use this saying must win, but is it a must win for the Cavs?
I never count LeBron James out, but I do feel like they have to win this game. This isn't the Indiana Pacers. Again, I'm a Pacer fan. I know they have a problem with LeBron James. We all know that Toronto Raptors have a problem with LeBron James. I'm not sure if Boston has that problem in terms of LeBron may get 40, 50 tonight, but it's going to take more than just LeBron to destroy these Boston Celtics. And at some point, in order for the Cavaliers to win this series, they got to win a game on the road. And if you take the first 2 off the table, then I start losing faith that they'll get one later in this series.
I totally disagree. First of all, LeBron and this group have won on the road. Boston is the young Sixers gagging away from being 0-5 on the road. They couldn't beat Milwaukee on the road. Basically, Philly had them beat. We both said this, Jason. That was the closest 4-1 series we've ever seen. Philadelphia gave games away. Boston's young. Young teams on the road. I mean, I always say this with my kids. The younger the kid, the more problems I get on the roller coaster in the back seat of the car.
Kids get older, Colin. No, seriously. I think Boston's going to grow up in this series, and I get you. They've been terrible on the road. But eventually...
Well, I don't think it's a must-win. It's close, but I think it's a must-play well or must-close loss. Like, at the very least, they need to play well and lose close.
Cleveland.
Yeah, Cleveland.
Right.
If they get blown away, then, now look, they've got veterans that came back from 3-1 in the finals. We know that. So they might not lose heart, but the Jordan Clarksons, the Rodney Hoods, guys that you're going to need in this series, they might lose heart if they get blown out. But if they play it close, to all your points, they're going to win the next 2 games in Cleveland. They only have to win 1. They got chances in Game 5 and Game 7 in Boston. So I don't think it's quite a must.
Calvin, I think you were reading my notes because I was going to say the same thing about the road. Because to me, Boston is so critical that they go in 2-0. They can't go on the road 1-1.
They can't.
They can't do it just because they haven't performed. They've been close. Now, in the Philly game, Philly kind of tricked that one off themselves.
No question.
I think the mental mindset of them taking care of home court and saying, we're up 2-0 on this team. They've been playing with house money all throughout the playoffs. But now they're saying, we're going to legitimize this by beating the King twice at home. That gives us a little leeway for us going on the road. If you go on the road, you're 1-1, you lose those 2 games?
Yeah.
Come on, that's a whole...
probably would.
And now the mental pressure to come back home and try to win, the pressure now shifts to young guys who haven't been there. LeBron, I got more confidence in LeBron being down 0-2 than I do in Boston being 1-1.
I was going to say, so it's more of a must-win.
That's what I was going to say.
Boston.
Yeah.
Y'all feel like there's more pressure on the Celtics than on the Cavaliers tonight?
Oh, absolutely. There's no question. Listen, 10 days ago, Boston was in a Game 7 at home with Milwaukee. We were entering the fourth quarter, and it was a coin flip. Let's not pretend these are the Larry Bird Celtics. I'll tell you what I think is most important tonight. Cleveland winning the top 3 in the lottery. I'm dead serious.
I heard you
if Cleveland's in the top 3 in the lottery, I believe LeBron 75% stays. LeBron loses tonight. He goes home, evens it up. It's a 3-game series. I get LeBron. I'll take it. If LeBron and the Cavs are 12th in the lottery tonight, can't do anything with this roster. You lose to Boston, not coming back to Cleveland. That reshapes the league. LeBron losing tonight doesn't reshape anything. They'll go home and win 2 in Cleveland. If they finish number 1, 2, or 3 in the lottery, Jason, they either get the next Jason Tatum or they can trade it for a star. That remains the biggest story tonight.
I'm going to disagree with you a little bit just because the draft is so much of a crapshoot now because the kids are 19 when they come in. You can get a great player at number 12. You can get a great player anywhere in the top 15. You can if you are as good as Danny Ainge or some of these other guys, you can find a great player in the first 15 picks. So I disagree with you a little bit there. Y'all have made me think of the reverse and how important this game is for Boston.
Look, I'll go this far. If Boston loses tonight, it's over.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I mean, because they're going to come back to Boston 3-1 down.
Yep.
And it's over.
You know who's not getting a lot of credit? We're giving a lot of credit, and I have to Brad Stevens. But Ty Lue, his ability to make adjustments defensively, we saw it in the Indiana series, how he switched up, how he was guarding the pick and roll on Oladipo. You know how hard it is to have to be able to coach LeBron James, the up days, the down days, when he feels like he's in the mood. He's not getting credit. Watch the adjustments that's going to take place in tonight's game defensively and offensively for Cleveland. And it's not because of LeBron. It's because of what Ty Lue
has been overshadowed by Quinn Snyder and Brad Stevens. Ty Lue outcoached Nate McMillan in that series. You go back to that series, Ty Lue had a great series against the Pacers. I think we're looking so much at all these other coaches because, let's be honest, Kerr's famous, D'Antoni's famous.
LeBron coaches the Cavs.
Hold on, but you know what, though? But Phil Jack, if you look at, I did a thing, right, and I don't know where it's at. It's in here somewhere. Ty Lue's first 50 games in playoffs, all right? He's won 37. He's tied with Phil Jackson, 37-13. He's ahead of Pat Riley and ahead of Greg Popovich. All of them had transformational players. All of them walked in and they had somebody there. But, of course, they get overshadowed because they have these superstars that don't get the credit. And Ty Lue right there in 50 games.
Well,
it's right time
and
with
most,
Phil
if not all of them, probably had more talent all up and down the roster than Ty Lue.
When Ty Lue got that job, I had a friend who worked for the Clippers, and he said, let me tell you, among coaches, Ty Lue was very respected. I think Ty Lue gets overshadowed by higher profile coaches. I think he's had a really good playoffs.
All right, coming up, I'm going to smack back against one thing Colin and everyone